Okay. It is like July 30th. Yeah. At 3:30 in the morning. I'm back to that wonky schedule. I've been working under the sun up by the X Club for the last 2 days under the sweltering sun. So, needless to say, I had a cat nap. And now I'm awake. But I'm baking. Baking in the house. So anyway, thinking. And I'm like, you've come this far. Like I said, I'm not going to paper shred this shit, people. I'm just not. I'm not going to throw away money. I'm not going to throw away principle. I'm not going to throw away time. I'm not going to throw away energy. Right? And just everything else that goes on in the brain with that cortisol, right? I'm not going to throw it away, people. My son asked me, well, what you going to do, Mom? And I'm talking about court and stuff. And, Sierra and SHAMAY and just the whole 9 yards, okay? So I'm going to treat it like a hobby so it doesn't consume my life, even though it's already consumed my life. In terms of fighting for justice, right? Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, but actually multiple times, more than 4. So bringing me back down to that fight, thinking about Sonya 2, the clone of Sonya 1, right? Trying to throw in the statute of limitations. Well, let me tell you something. When it comes to murder, there is no statute of limitations. Okay? And if you've been following my videos, everybody knows exactly how I feel about murder and how murder has affected my family. So, now that we've taken care of that, it's just like the book has been it's wide open with blank pages and you get to write the story, okay? That's what's going to happen here. Because I'm not dropping the ball on my family, people. I'm just not. Now, the judge said, okay, it's a freaking flying house. And I've got a light here. Just hold on a minute. Stop following me. Just following the light. This light is right here. It's probably too bright. Anyway, what was I saying? Here's the challenge. Now, I'm up on BitChute listening to Kevin Annett. And if anyone knows anything about Kevin Annett, he came from Port Alberni, a place where I think John grew up in. Yeah. That's where he grew up, people. So anyway, he's for years he's been trying to expose illegal organ harvesting and how it roots off into the Catholic Church, and it's very deeply entwined with, the Canadian government, and just they've had a long time to build in their systems with that organized crime, along with organized religion, and not just Punjabis, but organized religion, or, aligning themselves with, Chinese gangsters, and which don't necessarily, quote unquote, practice a religion per se, right? Because they're anti-God too, right? But you get my point. Okay, so with the judge saying, I don't want to do this very long because it's late and I'm tired and I'm hot. But just for the record, okay, when the judge said, you can't prove illegal organ harvesting, so therefore, because you can't prove it, if you come to the court with it, it's going to be dismissed, because whoever is looking at your notice of civil claim or whatever it is you're trying to do just won't acknowledge that illegal organ harvesting is happening in our hospitals, being facilitated through mainly the public union sector, government employees, while taxpayers pay for it. Okay? He said, you can't prove that. You just can't prove that. And I said, well, yes, I can, because I have pictures. I have pictures of SHAMAY. Oh, you can't use pictures. You can't. Pictures are not admissible. And I'm like, whatever. Okay. And then, of course, I got Tisha. Just drop it. Just drop it. I mean, that's not a material fact. Pictures aren't material facts, and they can be photoshopped. And I'm like, okay, just back off. But I'm not going to drop the ball, people. I'm just not. Okay. So in regards to the pictures that I do have, I didn't ask for those pictures, people. They just came to me. I have absolutely no reason to Photoshop anything. Okay? I don't get paid for this. I don't get a lot of subscribers for this. I got something like 34 views on SHAMAY's petition, and we're almost at 2,500 signatures. You do the math in terms of the ratio. Okay? I have less than 2,500 signatures out of 34,000 views. A dog gets more attention than a human being when it comes to fighting for justice. Okay? I learned that a long time ago, people. I don't know if it's because it makes people feel uncomfortable. I do know, though, there is a two-tiered society, that predator class, and the victims. Right? That caste system where those above keep going while those below keep going. So one goes up, one goes down, right? A two-tiered system, whatever. And with that, am I getting, out of those 34,000 views, are those the ones that are doing well and benefit from this kind of stuff? Because there's a lot of benefits along the way, people, which are material facts. Okay? Now, what organs are being sold on the black market in terms of the dollar amount in British Columbia, Canada? I don't know, because I'm not the one passing around the suitcase and bringing in shadow accounts through the banking system. If they're going to do what they did to Uncle John, okay, in terms of bank fraud and backroom deals and all this other crap that the judge is looking at right now, okay, I've shown him the way, people. I gave him the information in more than one way, right? I've given it to him through the legislation, with multiple legislations to draw upon if he wants to look at them. I've written it out with my original notice of civil claim. Fact, 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 fact. And now he's got the paperwork that if he wants to cheat, because technically the first one's been amended, right? You're not allowed to look at no more because all those lines, he has no power. Because I drew a line through the power because I was forced by a crooked judge to take out 98% of my notice of civil claim, which was specifically written for a freaking honorable judge, people. I didn't write it for me. I didn't write it for the lawyer. I wrote it for the judge, so the judge could see what they did to Uncle John. And if they're going to do that to Uncle John, and we're the casualties, that somehow gives these predator class, I don't care if they're just whatever, right? Because, just because you're a predator doesn't mean that you have money. Because I thought of the immigrant cleaning staff cleaning around the dead body of SHAMAY, looking, maybe knows but not saying nothing, because in the back of their mind they're getting something from it. What are they getting? I don't know. But the ones that are selling the organs, they're getting big bucks, people. And it doesn't cost them anything to harvest them. You see, that's the point. Right? Okay, I'm losing my thought. Point is, it's not if. What they did to Uncle John was heinous. Okay? Because it destroyed a lot of lives. Right? In death and in life. You know? Right? It goes both ways. And, so to say that they're not going to do what they did to SHAMAY just because, you know, somehow the system is, like I say before, its standard of, you know, being Puritan is, okay, forget it. I know what I'm going to do. There is no statute of limitation on murder. I said from the get-go, SHAMAY was murdered. The RCMP tried to cover it up. Fraser Health Authority staff tried to cover it up. The coroner of BC Services tried to cover it up, right along with the ambulance attendant. Okay? Because at the end of the day, my daughter was embalmed on a hospital bed for 9 days. Whether the judge wants to acknowledge that or not isn't my problem. Okay, my problem is putting the material facts that I see as material facts into a document list, filing another lawsuit for the gross negligence of not protecting the public from murder that benefits the public union sector. If there was no benefit to the public union sector to have SHAMAY or Sierra murdered, there would be justice, because the cops would have done their job and arrested people and put them in jail for murder. And they didn't do it, because there were nefarious activities going on with the wheeling and dealing of my children's organs. Because at the end of the day, they were taken out. Okay? They're not going to embalm a dead body and put it on a hospital bed unless they're trying to hide something. Because if they would have pronounced her dead, one of two things would have happened. And considering what I was screaming for, a forensic autopsy right from the beginning, her body would have went to the Abbotsford freaking hospital to have a forensic autopsy, which could quite possibly compromise her organs. Not necessarily so, though, because there are ways, from my understanding, that they can harvest organs even though there's a forensic autopsy going on. And then they could have been donated by me. Okay? But they didn't want that. That's why they put it in her medical records that I refused donation. That I refused, even though that's not true. Because they're trying to steer away from the facts, the material facts. Right? And the material facts are she had no organs to donate. Because it goes back to those pictures. And the minute I walked in with those poke marks all up and down her arm, which is done by a long needle from an embalmer to fill up where it doesn't go through the veins as a touch-up, and it was leaking because they ran out of time. That's a material fact, okay, with the jugular, which I can prove. I have absolutely no reason to be photoshopping anything, and that's why, people, when I did those videos with SHAMAY, which YouTube has distorted those videos, so I'm going to have to find those videos and I guess upload them on BitChute. So they're easier to find with a bigger frame, right? Versus all just, you know, YouTube trying to bring them down into little frames to squish everything together so that you don't see what I was doing. Okay? There's the picture. I walked people through it in terms of, oh my, look, there's an orifice plug in the back of her mouth. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting, people? That's my hobby, is to document this stuff, whether the judge wants to see it or not. I don't care. That's your problem. Because it will just be passed on and passed on, like Uncle John just passed on and passed on, passed on. But the information will get out there. It will show other people what to look for, how to deal with it. And they'll build on what I've done, and it will be even harder for these people to freaking continue to lie about the things that they do. Yeah. That's how I'm going to deal with it, people. There is no statute of limitation. Sierra was lured to her death, and I do believe she was in a snuff movie with a bunch of freaking masochists doing videos behind closed doors with 6'7" baby-faced cops guarding it as backup against a grieving fucking family, okay? Yeah, okay. That's a material fact. I have a video on that. You just don't walk away from stuff like that, people. You just don't. Unless you've got something to gain from it. And I've got nothing to gain from it other than I want justice. I want justice for my own family, and I want justice for other people that this happens to. Obviously, I don't care about the predators. I really don't. They need to go to jail. Get off the freaking planet. Just go away and don't come back. Okay? Because you're a predator. Nobody likes you. Fuck off. Right? But for the victims, whether they realize it or not, yeah, for sure. For sure. So, now that I focused, I feel like I've been rejuvenated. And the fight has just begun. Yep. Yep. So that's all I wanted to say. I haven't dropped the ball. Nope. I haven't dropped the ball. And wherever I go, Uncle John's coming with me. Okay? This Sonia too and her boss, they can think whatever they want. Oh, well, we'll just deal with it now, right? No, Uncle John's coming back, trust me. Yeah. He's been with us for a long time. And he didn't go anywhere, okay? He's still here. Just like SHAMAY is still here and Sierra is still here. I walk two worlds, people. Okay? Yeah. So in other words, if I file another lawsuit, Uncle John's lawsuit with Fraser Health Authority, CIBC Bank, the Attorney General Office, and the Public Safety and Solicitor General Office will all be in there. Yeah. That's what's going to happen. Oh, no, I'm going to come in with some material facts. I don't care if you like my material facts or not. Oh, well, you know, picture can be photoshopped. Yeah, well, prove that I photoshopped it. Prove it. I can prove that she was embalmed. Yeah. I already seen it. I seen it the minute I walked in. That's the first thing. And then, of course, you don't want to accept it. But you know what? I touched her body when I walked in. Touched her legs or something. They had them under ice packs. So it was like you know where your foot is, like this part in here, you know, at the bottom of the foot, you know, someplace, right, down lower, where they didn't have their ice pack because they were trying to cool her down because she was dead and her body was heating up in a warm room and they had to hide it. They had to hide it, people. That's what bodies do. They normally heat up as they decompose, even if they're embalmed. The embalming can't stop. Decomposition. That's a material fact. Just shit like that. Alright? No. And then just keep up with the good fight. And then what happens is people like Kevin Annette, people like me, and whoever else comes into the fray, well, then it becomes, the knowledge becomes more accessible for others to draw on and connect their own dots in their own lives with their own loved ones, right? Because you don't always necessarily know until after. And this is where the government's time is their weapon. Oh, you've only got 2 years to file a lawsuit because of this and this and this, but maybe it took you 1.5 years to figure out what really happened. Like with Uncle John, for example. I couldn't tell the story until I got into the paperwork. I couldn't get into the paperwork until I had time. And when they took John, don't forget, the house crashed. And everybody was on a suicide mission there for quite a long time in terms of self-imploding, right? You know, and just being depressed and just sluggish and, you know, just feeling hopeless and being counterproductive, you know, because of the cortisol that's going in the brain. And I had a lot of work to do, and I had Andre, and you know, so by the time I sat down and started writing, it was like going into 2016. I was already probably in 2016. Yeah, it took me a long time to write that because I had to go through the individual papers and I had to cross-reference and I had to think and analyze. That's what I mean. Like this judge, he needs to be an Inspector Gadget, right? You know, he's got to put the numbers together and the dates together and just the whole 9 yards, right? That's what needs to be done. And then he needs to dig a little more. You know, call up Island Health Authority's freaking records on Uncle John. Right along with Fraser Health Authority. You'd be surprised what you're going to find. Yeah, I can tell you, you're going to be surprised. Through some mole. Eleanor is a mole in the healthcare system, hiding behind the badge of being a respectable employee of the government for an immunization program for the rest of the government's healthcare staff. And that's the mole, okay? How does this judge, can he guarantee that he's not going to run into into a mole like Eleanor? The only thing that could give him absolute guarantee that he will never be mistreated when he gets old, quote unquote, is that he's either got to be one of those, you know, reptilian, shape-shifting, godlike entities that like to cloak themselves with a sense of, well, I'm human, look at me, but at the end of the day, there's something else, right? So therefore, they're untouchable. They'll never get hurt, ever, ever. They will never, none of their family, because there's something godlike about them, and they're untouchable. I mean, that would be the only thing that would guarantee that in that judge. What is that called? Safe passage into old, being old, where you're not going to be abused by other people that have nefarious reasons to do so, and then lock them away like a dirty secret. Yeah. But maybe they figure, well, I'd rather just take my chances and run with the dirty crowd and bet that I can buy a few organs along the way versus being one of the casualties. Maybe they do it like by percentage. I have a more successful chance at a higher percentage to be of criminal mind and get away with shit and, live a long, prosperous life as an old person that will never suffer like Uncle John suffered, versus being an Uncle John, right? And obviously he feels that he's superior, right? I guess he feels his money can buy him, quote-unquote, private care, to where he'd never end up in a situation like Uncle John. Well, I don't know about that. Maybe not him, but it could be somebody in his family that he loves. And that would be the only thing that would make him realize what the hell I've been going through all these years. Right? If he had to jump on that bandwagon and fight for his loved one, but he'll be too old by then. He won't care, right? Because he probably won't even understand, because he'll have Alzheimer's disease or something. Right? And then his family really won't want him. Right? Yeah. What's he gonna do then? Most people with Alzheimer's, families throw them into these old folks' homes and throw away the key. But again, maybe he's something else. Maybe he's not really human. Maybe he's just... I wonder, in terms of... definitely nothing is new under the sun. Right? I don't believe we're the only... just whatever. Okay, so end of this. Okay, the point of this is there is no statute of limitation on murder. Okay, I am firm SHAMAY was murdered. I am firm Sierra was lured to her death and quite possibly murdered, and definitely was in a snuff movie. Just by the very nature of how she was pimped out on the streets for 8 years until there was nothing left. Okay? As the government puts all these cash infusions into all these programs that never help Sierra. So, I'm sure I can dig up a few material facts along the way on that one, okay, people? And then, of course, you can almost say Uncle John was murdered too, because by him being completely severed from his family in the manner that he was, he didn't last very long, okay? And he died an old, lonely man, locked away like a dirty secret in a government facility that was privately run by some non-profit as a tax loophole, okay? But he paid for it. I have receipts on it. when they started paying out $1,700, when Eleanor started paying out that $1,700 in July, or in 2016, e-transfer, that told me they placed him. They placed him. They got what they wanted. They got all their ducks in order. Transferred power of attorney, enduring power of attorney, quietly and secretly, I might add. Threw in giving Eleanor general power of attorney. Why did she need all these powers of attorneys, people, if she was just dealing with Uncle John in terms of his pension? Like I said, once he died, that was it. There was nothing left to go looking for. She didn't know that. And because I was doing YouTube videos talking about it, I can pull up those videos. She got scared, put pressure on the bank to lock me out. And then that's when they did their bank fraud with their transactions with my cards to kick out the one card that I have access to. And that's how they think they removed me as enduring power of attorney. But they didn't. And that's the thing. And they put John into an early death because of it, which is manslaughter. So I don't think there's any statute of limitation on that either, because it's a form of murder. So I kind of know what I have to do. And I'm going to try and do a good job. At some point, not anytime soon, but at some point, I'm going to be pulling up Shamay's pictures again. And we're going to zoom in with the camera in real time. And we're going to double look for the things that I've already found. Only this time, we're going to make sure we get some good pictures so that we can put together, right, like a book. Like a book. And I'll see what I can do by adding in some written literature. Oh, but they're going to bring in their experts. You'll be fighting against their experts to debunk me, right? In terms of Shamay was illegally embalmed. Well, I guess it's the court game. Bring your experts and I'll show you my evidence, which are material facts. And if you don't believe me, you can take the time to take the picture and do everything that I've done to see it for yourself. In terms of, we'll just use the orifice plug as an example in the back of her mouth. Yeah. Because it's not just about murder, people. It's the fact that she was harvested. Okay? It's the fact that she was harvested illegally. That's the fight, okay? There's multiple levels to the fight.